Yay! What is up, Patreon crew? First and foremost, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for joining us for the post shows. These are always these are kind of our favorite discussions because they're even a more casual version of the main show. But we get a lot more like one-on-one individual questions from the viewers and stuff like that because we've got some time allocated specifically for it. So thank you for being a supporter. Of course, we are continued to be joined by David and Megan Roach and Addie.
Hey!
Who
I'm here.
The comments were like, there are hundreds of Addie fans. There was one that was like pretty pertinent, or I couldn't focus on any of the questions because I can't stop looking at Addie's face. And when I read that, I was sitting here looking at Addie's face, and I'm just like, I'm hypnotized. I'm hypnotized. Okay, so Kim, let's just get right on into it. Is that Gus?
Yeah.
Is he freaking out?
He's
all right.
Moderately.
Come here, bud.
We'll see.
You take care of the question. I'll take care of the boy.
All right. Question from Kim Wrinkle in the chat room. Kim asks, question for David and Megan. How can an athlete turn that nervous energy, taper tantrums, and pre-race anxiety into positives on race day and in the days just prior to the race?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just gets back to like everyone has that, and if you don't have it, you're probably not going to be ready, or most people aren't going to be ready to race. So to in advance embrace that as like part of why you race altogether, because I mean, whenever people are dealing with nerves or all that, I'm like, gosh, that's why we live, is to care about anything enough to go crazy about it. And like you think about, you don't want your first love, you don't want to meet your first love and be like, oh yeah, I'm totally chill about this. This is not a big deal. You want to be like, hey, you want to come to Colorado with me in a year? You know what I mean, or whatever.
Like, schedule a few races before the big dance. Practice long runs, do the same pre-race warm up you would do, and that would give you confidence.
Yeah, we're big fans of trying to like make yourself nervous. Like, do as many races as you can, shorter distance. Like a lot of ultra runners think that they can't do like 10Ks or half marathon trail races. It's like, those are the best ones.
Sometimes those are the most nerve-wracking too. Like racing a road 5K, it's like
or simulated in training so that you get to go through that process a little bit. And I think like once you do that, and for me at least, I only like racing for that feeling at this point. Like I try to seek it out because it's after you, like for everyone that's done it a while, it starts to be a little less. And but to me, that's like the cool. I remember when I first started, and I remember my first trail race. I did not sleep a second the night before, and to me, in retrospect, I hated it at the time. But in retrospect, I'm like, that's so cool. I wish I could do that again. So yeah, to embrace it, and then to remember, like, in terms of living the day by day, that sleep the night before a race doesn't matter. I've seen people win world championships with like not sleeping a second the night before a race. So don't put that on a pedestal. And also all the other little things don't really matter. Like everything kind of falls into place. Don't worry too much about the food you eat. Don't do all that stuff. Just kind of live your life and it all works out. Go hiking the afternoon before, as long as it's not something you never do, that sort of thing.
Nice.
Question from Nathaniel in the chat room. Nathaniel asks, can you describe your biggest mental bonk during a race and how did you overcome it?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think for me, I don't love really technical downhills. There's like an element of me that's like, I'm going to fall flat in my face. This might end really poorly. And sometimes I can kind of like visualize it before it even happens. And I think just being okay with whatever happens and understanding that you're going to be okay is really helpful.
I'm like going through my catalog of failures.
I know. I'm like, that was a really good question.
It's like the Library of Congress over here. I'm like, okay, no, not that one, not that one. Yeah, I think for me, well, the funniest one was last year where, I mean, just like a pure mental stupid thing was I didn't tie my shoe tight enough. And so at the 50K championship last year, spent like 3 minutes searching for my shoe in the mud, which was like the stupidest mistake. But in terms of like mid-race mistakes, I mean, I really personally do have issues with like compromise during races, being like, I'm okay just like finishing or not finish or whatever. And so, I have so many experiences where it's been like fighting that. And the races I'm most proud of are not races I win. the races that I finish despite not having a good day,
Hmm.
or like or rally, because that for me is like the hardest part, is like coming back from not having a good day, which happens to everyone.
That's interesting with the compromise thing. That I mean, I looked at the Orcas Island race as that. I was like, well, I signed up for the marathon, but I'm going to compromise and do the half. And even that whole time, I was like, what arguing with myself of, we'll just get to the next aid station and we'll call it quits. Like that's the compromise. I ended up finishing, and I feel good about finishing now. At the time, I was like, I should have finished double this distance, but now I'm much happier with the fact that you ran it all is a blessing, and the fact that you were able to get that race done at all despite your brain telling you no, and fighting those compromises, that's a celebration. Like I'm in a much different headspace now than I was the week after, but the idea of compromise, it's interesting. I think everyone goes through that. They're just the constant compromises of, oh, I'll slow down a little bit because I'm not feeling great, and we'll figure it out later or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So for me, at the World Trail Championships last year, I had a really rough day. I went from like 4th to like 300 over the course of like an hour or two, but it just when my body was failing. And I was sitting in the last aid station at like it was like a 50K. It was just a tough one at mile 23 or something, being like, there's no point in going on, all that stuff. And I mean, that was kind of the mental ball. But then the plus mental side was Megan was also having a bad day and came through the same aid station and was like, you are coming with me, and dragged me to the finish
It was
line.
also like such a low point. I grabbed this giant chocolate croissant from the aid station, and I was like, this has to do something for me.
And so like we basically walked, jogged, then but in severe pain. Like it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
By any, like we were both having.
But it was really memorable.
Oh
We
yeah, it was
finished
our,
the race
our
together.
favorite.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was of all time. That was my favorite running memory.
I love that. How important do you think it is to have, I guess, a partner that is also into it, or at least supportive of it? In your case, you both run. In our case, we both run. But how important is that teamwork aspect?
I think it's really helpful. I think just having a partner who understands. It doesn't necessarily have to be a partner who runs or
Right.
a partner, just someone who understands why you want to get up at 5 in the morning and get out the door and run in the rain and the cold and the dirt. And I think that adds a layer of consistency to training that's really helpful. I think it's harder to be consistent when you don't have that.
And community can do that too. Not every relationship like will even have someone that fully gets it, as long as they value like what you care about. But then in terms of caring about your racing and stuff, like that's where a community can really step in, whether it's, and I mean, honestly, it's one of the things as coaches, some athletes don't need it, but we really want to be that person for, like, we want, when someone has a success in life, that they not just running, but like that they contact us and tell us, because like we're pumped.
And we've had athletes who don't necessarily have that support in terms of a significant other or someone at home. And I think they really find like good community in the SWAP community.
But then Ginger Runner Live community is, the same way, and others that are these like supportive communities of people that care about your both successes and failures, really adds like some meaning to it, because it can be really hard. I mean, before I met Megan, I had a few races when I was first starting out that I would finish and want to tell someone about and not have anyone to tell about.
Mm-hmm.
And it would kind of lose some of the meaning there. And I don't know if I would be, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be where I am, but I don't know if I'd be running even seriously if it weren't for meeting Megan right at the start of my running career. So
Nice. Sorry, Kim. I kept
There's a lot
diverting.
of people in the chat room that are
Mad at me talking.
They're mad at you. No, there's a lot of people in the chat room saying like chocolate croissants are always the answer.
When you said that, now all I want for dinner, chocolate croissants.
Like literally, I fell in love with her all over again. She came in, has the chocolate croissant, stucks in her face, and then continues on. It's like, grabs the chocolate croissant. You're coming with me. In the face, off the trail.
My first pastry ever in the race.
Yeah.
It actually worked really well. Yeah.
I just love the visual of like the kindest, sweetest person coming in and just, I want that, just shoving it in her face and like, you're coming with me.
There were some curse words involved in that too.
Megan gets primal. She gets primal.
That is awesome.
We need to come watch you guys race.
Yeah, we need to come spectate, maybe film, do something fun.
Come visit us in Boulder. Stay for a month or to stay.
Guys, we're living with you for the next 8 months. You don't know this, but
The recording studio has been in the basement the whole time.
wow.
Yeah.
We have a big reveal for Patreon crew. Let's turn the camera around, and it's
And there
David
they
and
are.
Megan.
The podcast is coming from inside the house.
Sorry, keep going, babe.
Yeah, this is a great question from Marie in the chat room. She asks, I have an eating disorder and I struggle with nutrition while training for my first marathon. I work with a nutritionist this year. Any advice on the mental aspect of that?
That's a great question. First of all, meeting with a nutritionist is great. That's like the best like step you can do. We're very open with talking about eating on SWAP in the community and just knowing that it's so common. I think we've seen somewhere that 60% of runners struggle with eating issues, whether that's disordered eating or eating disorders. And understanding that you're not alone and it's normal to be going through these things is really helpful. And that all food is good food is what we value in SWAP is, you're training really hard, and to view food as fuel for performance is helpful.
Yeah. And so, the therapy end of it, or like understanding, the particular, every eating disorder is unique and has different triggers and things that brought it on. Understanding that, meeting with a therapist or someone that or even a friend that understands, and trying to find that out. And then, from a pure coaching perspective, so that's the most important part, is the psychological end of it, the emotional end of it. But from a pure coaching perspective, like food and eating and positive energy availability is 100% the most important part of training. For athletes that are training hard.
And for consistency, like you
Yeah.
can't have consistency long term if you're in a negative fuel availability.
So, trying to reframe it's really hard, but over time trying to reframe some of the performance elements of it, being like, one,
I want to run up this mountain. It's like,
you need to be stronger, you need to be bigger, and or not necessarily bigger. I don't want to say like normalize different sizes, but the stronger you are, the better, not the leaner or a little smaller you are, the better. And really trying to embrace that over time. And it's hard, but it's like by far the most important part of long-term running. And so I'm really proud of her, for writing that there. I mean, that the fact that you're willing to do that shows that, you're really working in the right direction. So thank you.
Yeah, verbalizing it and I think is a huge step in the right direction. Just being able to identify, or at least acknowledging that there, is something there is super helpful and healthy. We had Chris Mako, who's also talked about his eating disorder on the show very recently. And I, as someone who deals with anxiety and has publicized that, like it's good to just get it out there. That's a huge step in the right direction, of course. Let's get to one or two more.
Sure. There's a question from Nathaniel. He asked, what races are you most proud of and why?
That's a good question. Yeah, I haven't talked to you guys about that.
Can we do for each other?
Yes,
Oh, no.
I love that.
So David, what was it? Was it the mountain running championships for the U.S.? What year was that? 2014?
Mm-hmm.
The 2014 mountain running championships. So I had qualified for the U.S. team to go to Worlds, and the women's race was before the men's race, and so I knew I was going to Italy at that point, and when I was going to Italy it was over the time frame of when our honeymoon was supposed to be, so there was a lot of pressure on David to qualify for this race in his upcoming race, and he did it. He went from I think like 6th place to 4th place to secure the spot. And then we got a honeymoon in Italy, and it was amazing.
I immediately swore off running uphill races ever again. I like downhills. They're really nice. I like them a lot. Mine for Megan was like kind of an obvious answer, but is North Face from last year. So she had never done a 50 miler, was super busy with med school and all that stuff. And she just stepped up and ran fearlessly and, was 4th place. But more than that, it was just about like so I saw her all these different times on the course. And every single time I saw her, she was just full of positive energy, just flowing out to other people. And, she was going through her own negative stuff, but it was all externally directed. And it was just the end byproduct of like such a long period of growth from when, we started this sport together and like everyone, we're like, well, we want to be good. We want to get faster. We want to do all these things. And then she reached the point that she didn't care about that stuff anymore. And it was really evidenced in that race. And, she finished and like, maybe, so like, I told her before the race to go out way too slow. And maybe if I hadn't given her that bad advice, it would have ended differently.
No, it was good advice.
But either way, she got to the finish line, and and she was just so happy for everyone else that had, for Claire that was in front of her, and the others. So, yeah, that was a really cool moment.
I love that. I love that you guys are able to celebrate each other's successes and failures. I mean, this whole show was about that, and how you guys have been totally open with the days that don't go as well as the days that do go well. But you're a perfect example of a team that supports each other despite that. And I know that's what the whole Swap Crew is about, and you guys celebrate the successes as much as the failures. I think that's also really cool about the GR community. It's the same, no matter the abilities, no matter the levels or experience. It's celebrating the successes and the failures, because they're all learning experiences. Do we have one more question we can get to here in the post show?
I think we've either asked or answered
most of them.
Yes.
Well, David and Megan, you guys are fantastic. We love you to death, and
we really could have you guys on every single week.
We really could have you guys on every single week, and I know our audience would be like, "This is perfect.
Yes.
This is it." We also wanted to thank you because, full disclosure, both David and Megan are coaches. Essentially, they help guide us in the events that we've been doing, and me since January, and Kim much longer. Well, a couple months longer.
Immediately after Cascade Crest, when my life felt like it was falling apart.
We can't recommend them enough. I know that they are you guys full?
If someone matches the swap, like if the like droning on I did today, Megan was brilliant. But if the droning I did on resonated with someone, then that person might be like the type of. But if not us, we have like coaches that also are amazing in terms of the physiology and methodology, but then also will provide unconditional support that like we love and have been sending people to if it doesn't match up perfectly. But we always leave space open for people that add to the community. But yeah, I mean our big thing is like we will try any way we can help you. We will try to, even if it's not coaching. So like if you ever have a question, people that are on about, even if it's like training methodology with a extremely focused way, I'll answer hopefully within a few minutes, and
or refer you to someone who knows.
Or exactly. So we just want to help.
I have to say that I don't know how you guys do it, but you do. If I have a question, or if Kim has a question, and it's happened, like our viewers will ask a question, when he says he'll get back as soon as he means, or as soon as possible, he means it. I mean, he literally gets back, and Megan the same way. They get back very quickly.
David's online, I think, from like 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's pretty amazing.
You are too. That's just getting to hang.
Fun.
It's getting to hang with our friends. I mean, you guys were saying that I look for every single time I see an update from you. I just get so pumped. And I get excited. So as you can probably tell from their responses, and Megan's the same way. So it's a cool. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we've talked about today, it's also like makes our like jobs more fun. So it's like a double win.
So of course, if you viewers, Patreon supporters have any questions or want to reach out to either Megan or David and maybe ask about coaching services, or maybe that doesn't interest you now, but you maybe want to talk to them about other things. They are fantastic humans. So go to swaprunning.com, and I'm sure all the questions can be answered there. Also, keep your eyes out for their book. I know that we will probably have you guys on either when it's like ready to be unveiled, or it's like public and people can go get it, because I know that I'm going to want to talk about it. I've read a chapter and it's fucking fantastic.
We put in our who review copies are going to, and there's already 2 going to your door. So you'll know before we do when they're out.
If you send us 2, we'll hold on to one and we'll give one away. Does that work?
That's
okay. Yeah, good. Because we read together. She holds one page, I hold the other, and
alternate words.
Well, she's Canadian, so we have to sound out the words one by one. I'm so proud of myself.
Look, you could barely get through your joke.
Oh boy.
Well,
thank you, humans.
That joke didn't get enough attention but that was an amazing joke.
Thank you. Thank you. I even after I said it, I laughed at myself, and I looked at all 3 of you, and no one was laughing. And I realized maybe my joke just wasn't that
That
great.
was the sound. The sound just like it took me a second to understand.
It's okay.
I had to say out your joke. I mean,
Addie got it.
I'm the butt of this joke.
You were not. No. But thank you guys so much for being on the show. You guys are fantastic. And thank you, Patreon crew, for again continuing to support us no matter the level. It doesn't matter. We really just appreciate it. You are the reasons that this has been able to go on for 8 years now. The show, specifically Ginger Winter Live, for over 2. So thank you guys so much. And of course, we'll see you next week. Another episode and another movie and all that good stuff this week. Go watch Where Dreams Go to Die, share it, all that good stuff. And thank you to Megan and David and Addie. Addie's been just
Mostly
fantastic.
Addie.
The pause up. I don't know why
She's
she
been
did that.
so good this whole show.
We call
I love
that
it.
Gus's fancy paw.
Yeah,
He
Gus does
that
it.
to
Gus
us.
does it. It's called the fancy paw.
Oh.
Aw.
He's being so fancy.
Oh.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much,
guys.
guys.
You got it. Bye, everybody.